Hey everyone, welcome to my painting tutorial. This tutorial is meant to focus on a loose painting style that is lacking line art and focuses on shapes and texture. You can follow this tutorial in any program so long as you have a brush with pressure sensitivity and opacity, and a decent solid brush that goes small for tiny details once you're done laying out your colors. For this tutorial, I am doing this in Procreate. Now personally, I am not a fan of doing line art. I've always hated doing it, and I've always found it needlessly frustrating in the past and ended up preferring my original sketch anyways. I've always felt very constricted doing it and felt like I couldn't make mistakes because mistakes would also mean redoing my line art. So I enjoy skipping the line work altogether and going straight from sketching to painting. I do this by doing a quick sketch with a comfortable brush with opacity. After doing my sketch, I like to change the sketch layer blending mode to hard light, or whatever blending mode you prefer and what's available in your program. I then clip a layer to the sketch and fill the clipped layer with a dark tone that is common to the piece. Why hard light? I feel that hard light allows the sketch layer to blend well with the rest of the painting without becoming muddy. However, you can use whatever blending mode you prefer or have available to you in your specific program. Personally, I like to work on one layer. This allows me to keep my work organized, so I start out by putting all of my base colors on one layer, and once I lay down those base colors, I go in and begin laying down basic shading. This is while I'm still under the sketch layer. After laying down basic shading, I'm ready to merge the layers together and begin the rendering process. I pick up the base color that I'm trying to focus on and lay down shapes and lines of that color to achieve the look that I'm looking for, using the colors to make shapes where needed to render the piece and clean up my work. If I want to get a softer effect with my work, using a larger brush size and lighter pressure will help me achieve that. If I'm trying to refine details like some wrinkles in clothing or refine some details in the face, then I will use a smaller brush size and heavier pressure to achieve this. Depending on the brush that you're using, you may have different methods that you may want to use for blending. Personally, I like to use the color picking method with the opacity, where you use the interception of colors between the opacities, and when those two meet, when the colors meet in the opacity, they create a different color. So you use those colors that the opacity creates, you color pick that, and then you lay that color down. That creates a new color with the transparency of the opacity, and then you color pick that and lay that down. That continues to smooth it out. That's one method to use for blending. There's also using brushes that have feathered edges. You can use those brushes as well to smooth out and blend. It really just depends on preference and what you prefer to achieve in your piece. So as you can see in here, I'm just going in with a darker shade and a smaller sized brush to refine the shape that I'm wanting to carve out here. And then I will go in with a, well, I hop around a lot in my pieces, so I guess I'm not very consistent, but as you can see, I'm just going in and color picking the areas that I want to shape out and refining the pieces with the brush size that I have. So I'll do a smaller brush size for the areas that need tighter detail, and then a larger brush size for more color blocking and feathered accents. An important aspect of this style is the fact that it is not a perfect style. It is meant to be messy, it is meant to be a bit unrefined, and that's why I enjoy doing it. So I prefer to have a looser art style, and I know the example that I'm showing isn't very messy and unrefined. It's just this is the only one I had a decent screen recording of to show the process. But this one still shows, I believe, a good example of the color picking, which I think is important to show because I don't know if there's good examples of what I'm trying to explain. The the whole point of this is that it's okay for it to be a little messy. I leave a lot of my work unfinished. I leave a lot of my work with the sketch still showing through. Now, I know that I just uploaded this Starfire piece the other day. However, it's a perfect example of showing off texture within this style and how messy it can be. And that's kind of what I wanted to show off. So as you can see, I'm going in with my sketch and then I'm doing all of my base colors on the same layer. And now I'm above the base layer and I'm above the sketch layer and I'm doing the rendering and I'm starting the painting process. This is all on one layer. And then I go in with a brush that has texture to it. And I'm going in with light brush strokes and adding blue accents to the hair for some nice ambient lighting. And I'm going in and adding a nice texture to the hair. I'm utilizing the dry brush, which is a small sketch brush that I believe comes with Procreate. That brush is excellent for adding like eyelashes and defining certain aspects of your piece. I love that brush, so I used that one a lot in this piece as well. And then I'm just going in and adding texture with a brush called Render. This brush is excellent for adding specific textures to areas. It has a different blending mode to it. I think it's like a weird burnt effect or a multiply effect. I don't know what the effect is, but it adds an excellent effect to whatever you're putting down, and I really enjoy it. So as you can see, I'm still just color picking and laying down shapes and cleaning up the areas that I want to clean up, adding and taking away from particular spots to make forms and lay down exactly what I want to lay down. It is so hard to explain this process, and I'm so sorry. And then I'm just going in and refining the piece in other ways with specific brushes, specific textures. I didn't like the background, so I'm changing that background and then adding chromatic aberration at the end and some curve effects to the piece. So that is essentially my entire painting process from start to finish in the best way that I can articulate the process. For some reason, I am inept at explaining my drawing process and talking about my art. So I apologize if there's some things that didn't make much sense, but I did try my best. If you have any questions, I do invite you to ask them below. I'll do my best to answer them. If you liked these types of videos, please go ahead and subscribe. I'll try and make more tutorials as much as I'm able. Thank you so much for watching and have a good night. Bye-bye.